Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to another special program from English with Love Channel. The killing of 2 Israeli embassy staff members in the United States has caused widespread anger across the country.
I did see somebody run in. The security guard happened to let this guy in. I guess they were thinking that he was a victim. And he was covered in rain. He was clearly in trauma. He was in shock. And, some of the people at the event brought him water. They sat him down. Are you okay?
Officials from various countries such as the US, Israel, France, Germany, the UK, and the European Union have expressed strong condemnation.
So I would like to spend the rest of my time that has been yielded by Ms. Houchin and ask respectfully my colleagues to have a moment of silence for these 2 people that were murdered by someone for political purposes.
Silence.
What are the latest updates? How far have investigations gone, and what was the motive behind the attack? If you want to learn all the details about this story, stay with us until the end of the program.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
On Tuesday, May 21, 2025, around 7:45 p.m. local time, a cultural event at the Jewish Museum in Washington ended. As 2 Israeli embassy staff members were returning to their car, they were shot and killed. The first victim was Yaron Lishinsky, age 44. He was the second secretary of the Israeli embassy, in charge of cultural affairs and media relations. He also helped organize the event at the Jewish Museum. The second victim was Sarah Milgram, age 38. She was a political advisor at the Israeli embassy, specializing in Middle East security affairs. She had joined the embassy team in Washington less than 6 months ago. According to official reports from the Israeli embassy in Washington, confirmed by reliable news sources, Yaron Lishinsky and Sarah Milgram were not only colleagues, they were engaged to each other.
It's a young couple about to be engaged. The young man purchased a ring this week with the intention of proposing to his girlfriend next week in Jerusalem. They were a beautiful couple who came to enjoy an evening in Washington's Cultural Center.
They had been in a relationship for 2 years and had privately announced their engagement a few months ago. People close to them said their relationship was strong, both personally and professionally, and they had plans to get married later in 2025. One colleague said they were always together and supported each other in life and work. He added, "Their sudden deaths in such a horrible incident are a double tragedy." The main suspect in the shooting is a man named Elias Rodriguez, 31 years old, from Chicago. According to police, Rodriguez acted alone. He used a semi-automatic weapon and opened fire at 7:45 p.m.
The suspect has been tentatively identified as 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez of Chicago, Illinois.
He then tried to escape, but security forces caught him near the National Mall after a short chase.
After the shooting, the suspect then entered the museum and was detained by event security. The suspect chanted, "Free, free Palestine," while in custody.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Some eyewitnesses said Rodriguez shouted freedom for Palestine during his arrest and called himself a defender of the people's resistance. In a search of his home, police found writings with anti-Jewish slogans and calls for direct action against Israeli targets. This event has deeply angered Donald Trump. He said these horrific killings show that we must act strongly against hatred, extremism, and terrorism. He added, "We stand with our ally Israel and strongly condemn this act." Trump also asked the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the case as a hate crime and a possible terrorist attack. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, "No attack on diplomats, especially on American soil, can ever be justified. We must respond to this attack with full strength." FBI Director Christopher Wray said a federal investigation is ongoing. He added, "We have evidence that shows the attack was driven by hate and extremist beliefs." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, "This attack was not just against 2 of our diplomats. It was against the symbol of friendship between Israel and the United States. We expect America not only to bring the killer to justice, but also to fight the rising wave of anti-Semitism in the West." Israeli Foreign Minister Yisrael Katz visited the Israeli embassy in Washington, where he lowered the Israeli flag to half-mast. He said, "We promise the families of Yaron and Sarah that their voices will not be silenced. This was a terrorist act and must be treated as such." German Chancellor Friedrich Merz called the attack a hateful and anti-Semitic act and said it's important to fight extremism. He confirmed that Germany stands with the Jewish community and Israel, and will oppose all forms of hate. French President Emmanuel Macron also called the attack a hateful act and expressed solidarity with the families and the Jewish community. France has also increased security around Jewish sites. Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani described the attack as a scene of terror and violence, and emphasized the need to fight anti-Semitism. Italy also increased security around Jewish centers. Kaja Kallas, Prime Minister of Estonia and a vocal supporter of EU foreign policy, expressed shock and said it's important to fight anti-Semitism and promote tolerance. The European Union has called for a full investigation and strong action against those responsible. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer also condemned the attack and expressed support for the Jewish community. He stressed the importance of standing against extremism and hate. Leaders of the Netherlands, Denmark, Ireland, Ukraine, South Korea, and Sweden also condemned the attack and called for strong action against anti-Semitism and extremism. Many of these countries have increased security around Jewish sites. The FBI has said that early investigations show that the attack was carried out alone and was pre-planned. However, they are still checking if Rodriguez has links to anti-Jewish extremist groups or pro-Palestinian organizations. Rodriguez's computer and phone are being analyzed. Officials also found social media posts showing possible connections with BDS supporters and a group called the International Resistance Front. He had been briefly monitored by Chicago police in 2019 for his online activity, but his case was closed in 2022. Dear friends, we've reached the end of this program. Thank you for staying with us until the end. See you in future programs. Goodbye.